Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about happiness, right? So happiness, fulfillment, joy, right? These things that we seek on a daily basis or that we inadvertently seek without us maybe even knowing in the moments we're trying to achieve them and embrace them. So guys, I would argue that happiness is a derivative of your life, right? Of your lifestyle. So, there's a lot of gurus as it pertains to like spirituality, and there's a lot of different religions that promise you that following this way, following this path, abiding by these commandments will get you saved, get you to heaven, right? Make you blissful, right? And one thing I can say about these spiritual teachings is that there's nothing wrong with them, right? Like meditation's great, prayer's great. These things are designed to give us inner peace in a way, right? But I would argue there's something more critical for your overall happiness, right? In the book, Goals, Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. It's one of the more popular self-help books, right? In one of the chapters, he talks about control, right? And he specifically states that when we have control over our lives, when we're in control, when we feel like we have control over our finances, over our health, over our lifestyle, over the direction of our relationship, over our family, right? These different things that we deal with in life, when we feel like we have control over those things, then that's when we feel the most happy in a sense, right? So I can honestly say that, what's the opposite of not having control? It's basically you're in bondage, right? So I would argue that in America, pretty much all over the globe, right? Because humans are hierarchical. There's systems set up in place to basically not suppress you, but there's systems in place that it's like you have followers and leaders, right? So people at the bottom, people that are working endless hours, making little money, right? I would argue they're not the happiest people, right? People say that rich people aren't happy, right? Or they say that the meek shall inherit the earth, right? And, I think there's times where poor people can have moments of joy, but I would argue that overall, right, their life sucks, right? If you're constantly worried about bills, if you're constantly in environments that are not fun, that are stressful, or that are secluded from the natural world, then I would argue that you're not going to be happy, right? As opposed to someone who has complete autonomy over what they do, who they are surrounded with, the food they can eat, right? The things they can do, the places they can go to. So you got to remember, most of us are in a box, right? A literal box for 8 to 12 hours a day, whether that's a school, whether that's a university, whether that's a physical place of occupation where you work. So I'm simply stating that I think the first step towards achieving an overall sense of happiness, I guess, and fulfillment, and having a knowing and having confidence of the direction where your life is going, is first figuring out how you are going to free yourself from the box, right? So the box is the 9-to-5 wage slave system, right? And there's people that obviously aren't happy, right? I'm not saying that every single person who's able to become free is going to be happy, right? Because there are certain things that are out of your control. You could become ill, right? You could lose your relationship, right? You could lose your money. Your business you could go out of business, right? You could get canceled. If you're an influencer, you could get canceled. You could get death threats, right? So I'm not saying that everything's sunshine and rainbows once you free yourself from wage slavery. But what I am saying is that I think the person who has complete control, well, not complete control, because we never really have complete control, but who has like the best overall control of what they can do at any time, it is set up in a much better way to achieve that goal. Right. How you doing? So, if you guys are wondering like, hey, like, why does my life suck? Why am I pissed off? Why am I frustrated? Right? you got to look and basically see that the main reason why you feel that way, the main reason why you are experiencing that pain in a sense, right, is because you don't have control, right? And it's not given to us right away. The default state of the human being is being out of control of your life, right? And now I'm a big proponent of telling people, yes, you do have control over your life, right? And yes, you do have control of where you're going, but not in the beginning, right? Because think about it, right? When you start off in life, what's the first place you go to, right? You know, let's say you're birthed, right? You're birthed, and between the ages of 5 and 7, you go to preschool, right? Then you go to kindergarten, then you go to grade school, then you go to middle school, then you go to high school, then you go to college, right? So from the jump, guys, we're not free. We're put in a box as soon as we get out of, as soon as we hit like age 6, right? We're with our parents and we're kind of under their control when we're like a baby. But once we become, you know, middle-aged, adolescent, and then young adult, we're not free, right? So, you know, freedom is relative, right? Freedom isn't completely just, oh, like we're in America and we're free. No, it's relative freedom, right? You can be like, yes, America is a free country, but you still got to pay bills. You still got to go to work every day. You still got to pay taxes, right? So your ability to be free is going to be the first step. It's not the only thing, right? It's a stepping stone to happiness, right? Because if you are able to free yourself from the box, right? I honestly think that's the first step, right? Because here's the thing. You can practice mindfulness. You can study meditation. You can focus on your health. You can try to develop a good relationship. But if you still got to be somewhere you don't want to be 5 days a week, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Your progress, your progress and your overall health, mental health and happiness is going to be stifled to some degree, because by default, if you're doing something you want to do for the most part of the day, 5 to 6 days a week, right? Then I would give that person a much better, I would argue that person would have a much better degree of happiness than someone who can't control what they do 5 to 6 days a week, right? So, your biggest, the biggest sense of joy you're gonna get in life is from 2 things, well, 3 things really: your relationships, your health, and your career, and the way you serve other people, right? So if you can figure out the best way to master those things, if you can figure out the best way to optimize those 3 things, right, you then, in this relative human 3-dimensional dualistic world that we live in, right, I think that's the best way to be happy, right? If your health is optimized, if you have optimal testosterone levels as a guy, if your stress level is low, if your dopamine is in check, it's not completely fried from stupid addictions, if your serotonin is in check, if you get endorphins from exercise, right? If you get oxytocin from making love to your romantic partner, and you enjoy the work that you do, and you have control over where you can be every moment of the day, bro, what better recipe for happiness do you have, right? But let's take the opposite, which most of us experience. The opposite of that is you wake up at a time you don't want to be awake. You still want to, for the most part, we still want to be sleeping, right? You wake up early, you're tired, right? You already started off the day not optimized, right? You get your car, you jump in the box, right? And you go to a box where you don't have any control over what you do. You're being told what to do 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day. You're bored out of your mind, right? You're eating food that you don't want to eat. You're eating food that's there, that's convenient, that's easy, right? You can't do what you want to do for the 9 hours that you're there, right? And then you go home and your energy's zapped because you're pissed off, you're angry, you're disappointed, you're frustrated, you're annoyed. And then as a result of that 9-hour process that you go through every day, when you get home, you sedate yourself, right? You go to sleep, like you go home and you just lay down and you don't do anything because you're tired and frustrated and annoyed. So guys, your first step is going to be simply finding out a way to optimize your freedom and your lifestyle. And like I said, I've been really harping on this a lot recently, but I think a lot of you guys would be really, it would pan out well for you guys to get out of the States and save up some money and go live in a place where you don't have to be a slave to anybody for for the most part. I mean, we're all slaves to some degree, right? We all have to pay to live. So obviously just the fact that we have to pay to eat, pay to stay in shelter, that's by definition not being free. But for the most part, if you can minimize your expenses and live without having to kill yourself 50 hours a week, right, and do things you don't want to do, I think you can set yourself up to be overall happier, healthier, and have a better sense of well-being, right? Because that's really what we're after. We're not after, you know, people say that they want money, they want cars, they want women, they want success, they want fame, they want all these things. And it's like, no, we don't want that, right? A chaotic life with all of that and constant drama, constant gossip, constantly people trying to slander your name, that's not the life that people want. It looks shiny, right? Like, it looks fancy, it looks glamorous, but what we really want is freedom and the ability to be free. Like, honestly guys, I think one of the biggest things that helps me feel the sense of happiness that I'm talking about is being outside, man. Like, I'll show you guys. Guys, my feet are in the dirt right now. You see that? My feet are in the grass. I'm grounding. I'm getting negative ions. I'm draining the electrical energy from the iPhones and the Wi-Fi and the cellular devices that I'm exposed to on a daily basis, right? So another thing is, you know, I feel best when I optimize at least a third of my day in nature, right? When I get at least a third of the time I have in my day to go out for walks, breathe fresh air, right? That's part of the reason why a lot of us are happy too. We're simply in we're in human anti-friendly human spaces, right? That aren't conducive to our health. And when we're exposed to constant radiation, constant shitty air, right? Shitty food on a daily basis, and we're not in an environment that we can control, that we can be free, when we constantly have to deal with our boss ordering us things, what to do, dealing with complaints, dealing with other people's frustrations, right? That's not a recipe for happiness, right? You're not gonna feel like the direction of your life is going in a positive direction. So I don't have a simple answer as to how you're gonna achieve that, right? I mean, there's many ways to achieve it. It's up to you to figure that out for you, and then just, you know, dive into that rabbit hole and start to go down that path. But I'm explaining to you that that's the ultimate goal for the relative 3D physical human experience in this world that we live in, right? Is freedom from a job, freedom from control of other people, right? And being able to have autonomy for where you want to go, where you want to be, what you want to do, who you want to spend your time with, right? And the ability to optimize what you want to optimize in your day, right? Because your health, your relationships, and the career you choose is going to be the three biggest things that contribute to your happiness. So if you can you know, figure those things out and really master those things, right, you're going to be set up to win in the long run, right? And that's what I want for all of you guys. So yeah guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.